last season we saw how much home court can swing a series. Harkening back to that, when you look back at that, what did you see swing from games 1 and 2 last year to games 3 and 4?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of similarities. I think game 1 in Cleveland lost by 14. Game 1 in Boston lost by 17. Game 2 you lose by 10 in Cleveland. You lose by 9 in Boston. So I think there's the similarities there, score-wise, but the energy of the crowd, the being able to be at home, sleep in your own bed, get your practice reps here in our building, in our facility, and then just our home crowd. And we know exactly how energized they are for us to be back home.
Piggybacking off of that home crowd, like you talked about, just last year, what do you remember that kind of just set the tone, and how do you want to see that again going into this game?
I don't talk about Game 3 as much because I just really remember Game 6 more than anything. The energy from the crowd, the enthusiasm of the game, knowing it was a must-get game, and the way our guys responded, the way our fans responded, the way they got behind their guys. That energizes this group. The way in which they're able to feed off the energy and the way in which they play, that does something for the home team.
All down to how much incentive is there for you guys to do alterations to your rotation or schemes or anything like that?
I think it just continues to be a chess match. With Tatum being out one game, it changes a lot of things, and there's some similarities to last year in just the adjustments of certain guys being in, certain guys being out. But we'll look at it as the game goes on, being able to get a real game feel, who's got a great flow going, and what we need to see, and what we'll need to see from certain guys as they step into the game.
Kind of harkening back on last year's experience, how do you see this team handling the pressure of being down 2-0 differently from last year?
Well, there's a resolve to them that they understand they've been here before, and you can actually say that because we've been in an identical situation. So a different team, obviously, and you're facing the champions, but understanding exactly what you need to do to get yourself out from being down 2-0.
Paul was only able to play 5 minutes in Game 2. Just how difficult has this series been for him, and how do you get more out of him on the floor?
We talk about it a ton. He and I sat together in my office yesterday just breaking down film, understanding some different pieces and how important he is in these situations. And he understands it, and just what he means to this team and how he knows he needs to play and continue to be fearless in all of his decision making, both offensively and defensively.
How do you evaluate your team, how well your team has utilized the skills KCP has on offense in the first 2 games of the series, and what can you guys do to get him to help him be more productive?
Well, I ultimately think that, finding the right looks and great situations for him and just letting him be able to continue to step in with confidence in what he's doing. His defensive energy has been great, the way he's getting into the ball, getting over screens. They talk about some hits that he's received, on some screens getting over in the pick and roll. So that I think he's done a great job of, battling that, but then also being able to, find the open windows when those guys are double teaming Paolo or Franz.
When you look at the film from Game 1 and 2, how small were the margins? How close was this to being 1-1 or a different story coming home?
Super close. I think those are the scenarios that we talked about, throughout this year for this group. There's a tiny margin, whether that's free throw count, defending without fouling, finishing possessions with the rebound, making sure we don't give them 20-second chance points in one game and 17 in another. We've got to make sure we clean up the glass and give ourselves that opportunity by crashing the glass.
I know you guys talked about they did what they're supposed to do. 2 up there, now you got to do here. But at what point does that become pressure? This is real. It's time.
When the home team loses.
Hey, so Paolo is playing really good this season, but you look at the bench, you got to get some more production there. Does that start early in the game? Do you just try to get more guys involved early, or is it just like a flow kind of thing?
It's a flow. It's definitely a flow. And we've had, throughout the year, guys have had different opportunities. Different guys step up and step in. And by committee is how we do things. And finding guys to get their opportunity in those moments. And like we talk about, these guys don't need to have any fear when they step into the game. We have the utmost confidence in what they're capable of doing as soon as they step into the game.
In terms of injuries, aside from Mo and Jalen, who are out, how are you guys doing there?
We are physically in a great space right now.
Mentally, how's that?
What's that?
Mentally, how's that?
Mentally, we are in a great space right now.
Thanks.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.